Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Child Development Podcast. Now delving into episode 2 of season 3. Season 3, which is Early Childhood Education Essentials. The theme for this episode, number 2, is creating an engaging learning environment. It is essential to design learning environments that are physically and emotionally safe, ensuring that materials and equipment are age-appropriate and accessible helps children feel confident to explore and learn. Creating this kind of environment supports the children to becoming the kind of people that society needs in the quest to develop the economy and contribute to the good quality of life that every human being looks forward to. To discuss this topic, I'm once again joined by our ECE teacher and practitioner, Madam Royce Namukonda, who is a teacher at Tunduya Primary School in Lusaka. Teacher Royce, once again, welcome to this episode.
Thank you very much, Professor.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, we had our episode 1, and I think we shared a lot.
Sure.
Yes. I don't know, would you want to just recap on episode 1, or we go straight into episode 2?
A recap would do.
Okay, please.
So from our first episode on the early childhood education essentials, where we looked at the role of an early childhood education educator.
Yeah.
I want to remember something from that episode. It is very important that our learners go through this kind of education. And one of the roles of the educators is to inspire the learners and make them love education.
To inspire.
Yes.
Wow.
Because being a foundation, if a child loves school from an early childhood level, then they are destined for greatness, because they're going to love school and they will enjoy all the grades.
Destined for greatness.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Destined for greatness. And that's what we need, not so?
Exactly.
We want each and every human being
to be great
and successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So this is now episode 2, creating an engaging learning environment. Why is it important to create an engaging learning environment?
Well, it is very important because in the first place, when your environment is engaging, it means the learners are going to participate. And as we know that early childhood education, it is primarily taught through play. And it means every learner, every child has to be engaged in the plays, in the education.
Right.
So if your environment is not engaging, then it is teacher-centered. Your method is teacher-centered, meaning your learners are not going to participate in what they're doing, and they will not learn. And remember, this learning through play, it is a learner-centered.
Yeah.
As a teacher, you just instruct your learners to do the activities, to play and learn. And so it is very important that your environment is engaging. Not only engaging, it must be very supportive. Yes, to support the developments that you want the learners to have.
Yes. You know, I like the point you've mentioned, teacher-centered versus learner-centered. And perhaps this is one area that many of us educators don't really appreciate, because, you know, even at other levels today, all the way to tertiary, that's the approach that we must use. Learner-centered. Gone are those days when teachers thought they knew it all.
Exactly.
Yeah. I teach at a higher level myself, in the tertiary, in universities. And, even at that level, we have realized that for us to create these people we are saying, people who are going to be critical thinkers, who are going to be creators and innovators, that's the approach that we must use.
The learner-centered.
The learner-centered. We don't know everything. In fact, some of the learners could even be well ahead of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With this sort of technology.
In fact, I always say that, colleagues, as I share with my colleagues, perhaps they will have become irrelevant.
It is very possible.
Yes. So even in our own specific fields where, we were trained and we've been teaching in those areas, well, we are not the only players anymore in those fields.
Yes.
Even those who are outside those fields could even know better than we do. So really, learner-centered is the way to go. All right. Okay, that's a good point. Now, I know that you've been talking so much about, this play-based learning, for engaging young children, where as educators you can create an environment that encourages open-ended play, imaginative exploration and hands-on experiences. Yeah, because play-based learning fosters creativity.
Exactly.
Problem-solving skills that you talked so much about, in the last episode, and also social interaction. Yeah. I don't know if you just like to perhaps re-emphasize the same so that our viewers and the listeners out there get the point, because to me, these are the issues that everybody needs to appreciate.
Sure.
If we don't appreciate this, then we will not appreciate ECE. And if we don't appreciate ECE, we will not be a great nation.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, yes, Professor, with early childhood education, play is a primary thing that we do.
Right.
Learning and teaching is done through play.
Right.
And so incorporating play-based learning, this simply means that in our lessons as we teach these children, there's always a form of play that they are doing. This now makes it enjoyable for learners.
Yeah.
The learners will enjoy learning because they think they are playing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as a teacher, I know that even as they are playing, they are learning something. They are acquiring some skills as they are playing.
Yeah.
There's a part where our learners, you take them in a corner. We call it a pretense corner. In this corner, it can be a kitchen, and then the learners will pretend to be a mother. So this, as they are playing, taking that role, there's something that they're learning. They're learning things found in a kitchen. They will be thinking this is a stove, and they will be pretending to cook. In that way, as they are playing, they are learning things that are found in a kitchen. And when it comes to a topic where we're talking about a home, rooms in a home, the children will be able to identify a kitchen and the things that are found in a kitchen.
Or it could be a shop.
It could be a shop, yes. We actually have a shop corner where the two learners will have to be there. Others pretend to be the seller, and the other one pretends to be the one buying. And as they are interacting, they are acquiring some skills. There's language involved. There's also mathematics involved. Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, if there's a shop and then someone pretends is a seller,
the other one
another is a buyer.
Yes.
There is maths involved there.
Mathematics is involved. Even languages, they are interacting.
Language and so on. Well, I think this is what I was going to call the interest-based learning centers.
Exactly.
Within the classroom, where you create that kind of environment. Wow. This
actually, just on that, Professor.
Yes.
Every morning when we come to class, we bring our learners together, and each child will have to choose which corner they want to play from. according to their interest.
Right.
This is so because as they are coming, they are in different moods. Others came crying, others came sad. But if I allow them to pick the activity they want to do during the play and free time, it will help them settle because they're interested in that area. Others may be interested in the pre-reading where they go in the library corner, just watch those pictures. Others will be interested to go in a corner where they're playing with building blocks. Others would want to play with toys. So at that point, you are letting the learners be in the corners of their interests.
Right.
You're not restricting them to one thing. No.
And this is, from what you are saying, this is the time that children begin creating interest in what they want to become later on also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because from that program, you will realize that this child always goes to that corner.
Right.
And
right.
now it will interest you as a teacher to learn more. You're going to observe that this child, every time I ask them to go to the corners they want, this child just goes to the shop. Okay, what is it that this child has in mind? Then you begin to get closer to the child. You realize that probably they have a shop at home and the child really wants to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
from that point, you can even begin to shape the life of a child.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I've been very worried in this country. When people talk about careers, you know, there are very few careers that people want their children
To take.
to take. Yeah. And so parents would, in fact, force
Impose
or impose children to be what maybe they didn't want to be.
what
Yeah.
they didn't do themselves. I want my child to be a doctor.
I want my child to be a doctor, to be a lawyer.
You know, the child wants to be a musician.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wants to be a musician, wants to be, a
footballer.
footballer, or anything of the sort.
Oh, yes, a baker. But
Yes.
many of the times, parents,
Yeah.
we actually undermine these interests of our children. The child you will even know the interest that this child has in. Probably it comes to cooking. This child loves cooking.
Yes.
Why not support the child? And they can open up a restaurant.
Yeah, but Teacher Royce, let me hold you there.
Yes.
Because there are some of you teachers, yeah, who also encourage parents and children to take up only certain careers. They say, oh, your child is so great. This one must become a doctor. Or this one must be... They never mention a teacher, by the way.
That reminds me of my secondary school. I remember we were in grade 11 and
Yes.
there were student teachers that came for
Yeah.
teaching practice.
Yes.
And they asked each one of us to say the career we wanted to take. I was the only one who mentioned that I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, okay.
I was the only one.
Wow.
And they loved the fact that I wanted to be a teacher. Now,
They
if
laughed.
the teachers loved the
Oh,
point
they loved.
that I
Okay.
wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Now, like you said, there are certain careers that we are just recommending that our learners take. But if they shun away from teaching, who is going to teach the next generation?
Who is going to teach the next generation?
Exactly.
You know, this is a noble career.
Very much.
In fact, this is the foundation of everything.
Yes.
This is the career of all careers.
Exactly.
Because all of us, whatever we are in life,
It is
whatever
because
we are,
of a teacher.
we pass through the hands of a teacher.
And we must be very proud as teachers. I am personally
You
proud
must be
teacher.
proud.
Oh, yes.
Wow. But of course, you know that the teaching career or teaching profession is not very high among what we call high professions in the country,
Oh, yes.
which is very worrying to me. But anyway, I'm glad that you are a proud teacher,
I
and
am.
especially being a proud
ECE
teacher, because this is where it matters most. And I think our viewers and listeners out there, we keep emphasizing this is where it matters most. And it's a little window in our human life, but which defines who we shall be
In future.
in future.
Sure.
This is the only window, and therefore let us all have
Invest in
respect
it.
for this.
it.
Yes, then we shall be a great nation.
Sure, Professor.
Well, now there's what is called flexible learning spaces, where you provide flexible learning spaces that can easily be adapted to accommodate different activities and group sizes that promote engagement and collaboration. Would you just elaborate on these flexible learning spaces?
Oh, yes. So the flexible learning space in an ECE class, for instance, in a classroom setup, we do not use desks, but we use small plastic chairs that are very easy to move, as well as plastic tables. Easy to move that even a child can carry. So just these chairs will make it very easy for a teacher to make small groups for the learners to do some games and other activities. And not only that, we have spaces where a child will love to be there and play in a way that will not interrupt them in any way. They will play freely, they will interact freely, they will play in a group freely without anything to disrupt them. So it is very important for this flexible learning space. So, as I mentioned, in that classroom where I have plastic chairs, it'd be very easy for me to move chairs away and create a space in the middle, and we'll be able to play a game together or do an activity together. Once we are done, we can again reassemble and make smaller groups. Very flexible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What about interactive learning materials? Where you utilize a variety of these learning materials and resources. Please just share with us, all those listening to this podcast, what is meant by that and why it is important.
Okay. So these interactive learning materials are a variety. Like in any ECE class you work in, you would find puzzles, you find storybooks, you find building blocks, you find different toys, you find so many of them. And we have a variety because, like I mentioned earlier, when these children come, they have the different interests. Yes. And so, not only that, as we are teaching them in different subjects, we need different teaching aids, teaching and learning aids. And there must be a variety of them. A variety enough for each child to manipulate. And these learning and teaching and learning materials must be enough for each and every child. Oh, yes. If it is the counters, have as many as possible. The building blocks, have as many as possible so that the learners will not fight for one building block. Oh, yes. And actually, this also helps the learners to interact. Even as they are playing, manipulating these materials, some of them will be talking to each other. Some of them will be manipulating and developing psychomotor skills, And so these interactive learning materials are very important. They'll help the learner to develop language. Oh, yes.
Teacher Royce, some people think that toys are simply toys. I mean, they are not so important. I mean, they're just there to play with. And at home, some parents even restrict children from playing with toys. Say, hey, maybe they'll just get one toy out and say, okay, you can play with this one. And after 30 minutes, okay, that's it. In other words, what I'm saying is that people don't appreciate the role of toys in the development of a child. And yet, the toy industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Where it is coming from.
Exactly.
Because they know the value of these toys. Perhaps you just need to re-emphasize that so that our listeners and viewers can pick it up from the practitioner.
Thank you, Professor. Actually, toys play an important role
Yeah.
in the development of the learners, especially where language is concerned, and also other skills.
Other skills,
Oh,
yeah,
yes. I'll talk about language. Even at home, Professor, even the viewers that are watching, they will agree with me with their parents. There will be a point where you find a child playing with a toy and the child is talking to him or herself. And if you're watching from a distance, you will realize that this child is trying to communicate something, or pretending to be talking to this toy, or pretending talking to somebody using this toy. And by so doing, the child will be developing language.
Yeah.
Not only that, as they'll be interacting, probably they're playing together. If they're using building blocks, they will be interacting. Give me the yellow part. Give me this bigger part. And as they are building whatever they are building using the building blocks, they will be developing. They'll be developing concepts of construction.
Yes.
The concept also of ordering in the same games that are they're doing. And so toys play an important role. Even at home, we must encourage parents. Yes, there are some toys that we do not encourage, probably very tiny toys that the children can swallow and they'll be dangerous to their health. Those we don't encourage. But those toys that are big enough and quite safe for the learners, please encourage the learners to play and manipulate those. Not only that, learners also develop their psychomotor skills as they are playing with different toys, as they are touching and moving this and that. Their psychomotors they're developing those skills. And when it comes to writing, it will be very easy. A child who's able to hold a tiny piece of building block, as they continue touching that, the fingers will also be strengthened.
Right.
Even to hold a pencil, it will be very easy.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This is what many people don't appreciate or don't know.
They don't know. If they knew, probably they could really even invest even in toys.
So there you are, parents, and especially parents, young parents who are, still having small children. Invest in the toys. And I'm glad you emphasize on the issue of language development.
Yes.
It was one of the episodes actually under season number 1.
Okay.
It was episode number 5. We talked about language development. And I'm glad that through, toys and so on, children can develop language.
Yes.
Because language is there for communication. Maybe, Teacher Royce, is this why we are so bad communicators? Probably. I mean, generally, we are not very good communicators.
Probably it was not.
We missed it somewhere.
We missed it in the beginning, yes, in the foundation, like we mentioned in the other episode. We emphasized on foundation. So even communication begins in early childhood. It actually begins in, like you mentioned, in the womb. The child will be able to communicate with the mother.
Yes.
The child is born, and on 8th, the child will start interacting and communicating. Now, when we come into a classroom situation in an early childhood, that is where it must be even emphasized, communication. Actually, we begin to teach them formal communication, formal language now. Away from home, when they can say anything, we now begin to make it constructive. Yes, they begin now to learn, even in a pre-way, even as we are using the language of play, we make sure they learn the communication skills. Even just being polite, may I use your pencil? May I use the toy? May I now have this? Right. So you find that from the early stage, the learners will begin to communicate.
That is very good, because you know what you are saying. I'm now putting dots together.
Sure.
Because in many places that we go to, whether it's shops, it's offices, government offices, including the private, companies and everywhere, transport sector. Hey, the communication is not that great. It is bad. That's why I said generally as a nation, we're not good communicators. So now I can put the dots together. We missed it there.
Somewhere. And we must really work on it.
Wow. So we need to recreate ourselves, not so.
Very much. Actually, language development in an ECE center, it is very good. We can actually testify that the learners that have been to ECE centers are able to communicate and express themselves better than those who haven't been to ECE centers.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why now, you see, I'm putting everything together here now.
So you have learners in one class.
Yeah.
Some have had the privilege to attend preschool, and others did not have that privilege. You realize that those that have attended preschool, their performance will be even higher than those that have not been to preschool. Even their language, they'll be able to express themselves, they'll be able to interact, they'll be able to play freely. And those that are coming from home, they'll now be feeling kind of inferior, or probably now beginning to learn what their friends are doing. Hence the importance of ECE.
Teacher Royce Namkonda, I'm so glad you're a proud teacher of ECE. Many teachers like you at this level, when they want to advance themselves, they go to get a degree. They would rather get a degree, not in ECE, but probably somewhere higher, like secondary. We have seen this, we have seen it, for example.
It is very common.
Primary school teachers wanting to become secondary school teachers. And of course, secondary school teachers also, they want to upgrade, get their masters so they can become lecturers in colleges and universities. Wow. Is that the way to go?
It is not.
It is not.
But I'll tell you, being an early childhood educator, you need passion for it.
Yes.
It is not easy. Handling these children, sometimes some of them will mess even themselves up. And as a teacher, you really have to do it with love. Embrace everyone. And just putting them in a mood of learning. That is why there's a lot of play there. So it is quite challenging.
Yeah.
And that's why we see a lot of teachers shifting from even primary to secondary, because they want to only handle probably 2 subjects and all that. But with primary and ECE, it is quite involving. It needs a teacher who is passionate about it, a teacher that really wants to see these little minds develop into proper and better adults.
Right.
So that one, you need passion for it.
And this is why elsewhere, these are the most highly paid people.
It should be so.
And it should be so.
It should be
and
so.
Rightly so.
Please. I would be the first person to advocate for it, because believe me, we have seen secondary school teachers and primary school teachers come into an ECE class. Just a minute, they will say, no, I can't handle this. How do you even manage to handle these creatures? And you say, and you'd smile at them and say, this is what I enjoy.
Wow.
So it is not easy. That is why we see probably other teachers leaving ECE. But to somebody that loves children and has a passion for it, you wouldn't leave and shift to another field, probably primary or secondary. Yes. So you keep on upgrading in the same field of the children.
And that's what we need.
Sure.
We need to have highly qualified
ECE teachers.
ECE teachers. This is the field that it demands. In fact, it demands.
Sure.
That should have the most qualified people.
Sure.
Highly qualified people.
Exactly.
Now, Teacher Royce, we are obviously in the technology space now. There's AI and there's all kinds of things. Which probably, you would also like to integrate in your ECE space.
Yes.
Yeah? Tablets, computers, educational apps, and where are we in this country? Are we there? Are we integrating this in that space? Where are we?
Well, the curriculum has this part integrated in it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that even from the home setup, I've seen some toys of a foreign kind.
Okay.
So, yes, So even as the children are coming to school, they know something about a phone, but not so much about computers, like in our country.
Okay.
But the curriculum covers this. Yes. The children will even just color a mouse.
Yeah.
Or color a monitor. So there is an integration of technology, even in ECE.
Yeah, but this is why we talked about investing. It must be heavy investment.
Heavy investment.
You don't want children to simply begin imagining, but they need to experience it, not so.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they need to have all these tablets.
We need to have these gadgets in schools. And
Yes.
I want to believe we have these gadgets in schools. All we need is a teacher that is very creative. If I have this lesson talking about a computer with my learners, there's no harm in me taking my learners in a computer lab and just expose them to computers.
And you see, what I'm saying, Teacher Royce, is that if you have 25 children, each of the 25 must have a laptop, a computer. Must have a tablet.
That calls for heavy investment.
Yes, of course.
Oh, yes. Because not
Yes.
just with early childhood,
Yeah.
obviously our computers are not enough in schools. Yes, the government has tried, and we can do better.
We can do better.
Yes, especially that now technology is the way to go.
This is the way to go. Unfortunately, we cannot run away from it.
We cannot. We cannot run away from it. Actually, now everything is becoming digital. And
Yes.
if a child or a learner doesn't have the skills, then it will be very difficult for them in this world. Even when it comes to, university, even just secondary, there's so much that they need to do with computers. And they should acquire these skills from preschool
Right.
all the way
Right.
to all grades.
Right.
And that's why you
it
talked
becomes
about
very
massive.
Easy. Yes, yeah, it becomes very easy.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, up to today, we are still receiving students in universities, colleges, who haven't been exposed to computers.
Very sad.
So they come and learn in the university. How much will they learn there? Not much,
Not much.
Yeah.
And not only that, that would be like going backwards.
Right.
Oh, yes, when they could have done that at an early age, at an early stage, an early AVO, like ECE grade 1. The curriculum really has these topics, but what we're talking about is that are the gadgets enough for all the learners? Are the teachers having interest in exposing these learners to these computers?
In fact,
or probably teaching these topics theoretically.
The teachers, you keep mentioning teachers because
they're key.
That's the starting point.
Yes.
Yeah.
They play an important role.
That is the starting point. I'm just imagining that for these learners to learn all these things that you are talking about, first and foremost, we must have the teachers.
The teachers.
Yes.
The teachers themselves must be well acquainted with technology.
Exactly.
Actually,
well trained.
It's a pity in schools we have computer topics, and some teachers shun from these topics
because they don't know.
Yes.
So
teachers must take time to invest, learn.
But shouldn't this come from the college or university where they went to learn? I mean,
probably at the time they were in college, there wasn't so much technology. But now it has come on. Teachers still need to learn this technology and impart the same skills and knowledge into the learners practically. Yes.
Wow. Well, Teacher Royce, as we wind up, I would like you to comment on the culturally responsive environments, where you create culturally responsive learning environments that celebrate diversity and honor children's cultural identities, fostering a sense of belonging and mutual respect. Yes. Would you just comment on that?
Well, in ECE we have music and games. And actually music, the music that we do most is cultural, is traditional. And we have drums in our classrooms where children will love to play drums, children will love to sing and dance. That is culture.
Is that depending on where they're coming from? Because, drums are played differently.
Differently.
If you are from the north, from the west, and so on. Do you promote that?
Of course, we do promote that.
Yeah.
We'll do different songs, different dances. And, it's quite funny where you see children beginning to play these drums and you are singing and they're dancing. That is culture we're trying to teach them. And it is not just one culture that you teach or probably just one tradition that you're teaching. We teach different cultures and different traditions, and it is done through music, and they are able to express themselves. It is quite interesting. Actually, this is why you get to interact with them. What tribe are you? They will tell you, okay, how do you greet? And this other one, they will say like that. We're trying to promote culture. Okay, where do you come from? Okay, if the children do not know, give them homework. Okay, go and ask your parents at home.
Right.
So, mommy, where do we come from?
Yeah.
And as we are doing that, we are promoting culture.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Fantastic. As we wind down now, Teacher Royce Namukonda,
Yes, sir.
any last words about these engaging learning environments?
Oh, yes. It is very important that every ECE classroom, it is an environment that is engaging for learners to participate, because remember, learning takes place through play in an ECE class, and it is done through learner-centered. And if it is learner-centered, then it must be engaging, that the learners manipulate. They learn through activities, through the games. They must touch these real objects. They must see these real objects. They shouldn't just learn in an abstract way. There are children, when they see, they touch, they don't forget. And so they must.
Absolutely.
They must be engaged in touching these, seeing them, playing with them. As they do that, they will not forget. The foundation will be concrete.
And this sticks all the way.
Throughout their life.
Throughout their life.
Exactly.
Wow. This is what we are missing.
And we should not miss going forward.
We should not miss going forward.
Exactly.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again to Teacher Royce Namukonda.
You're most welcome.
And thank you, our viewers, our listeners, for joining us. Please feel free to send your comments to us so that together, we can contribute to this great nation positively. Remember, we're talking about the window that matters most in human life. So until next time, I've been your host, Professor Kavwanga Yamba Yamba. Thank you.
Thank you.